So I am back today. I am feeling so much better than I've been feeling in the last 2 weeks, and I'm very happy about that. So I didn't realize how sick I was until about yesterday. But in today's episode, I want to talk about the early American Revolution, just to kind of set it up to explain what's going on and kind of compare and contrast to what's going on now. So the colonies are going to be divided during the early period of the American Revolution between patriots and loyalists. So the loyalists, they want to stay with the British Crown, while the patriots want to fight the British Crown. They don't want to be British citizens anymore. They want their own country. So this is going to be a problem because you're going to have the patriots who want their own country. You want independence. Now here's the shocking part. About 20% of the 2 million colonists were loyalists. New York, New Jersey, Eastern Maryland, and the backcountries of the Carolina and Georgia were loyalist colonies because of something known as the Anglican Church, the Church of England. And the reason why the Anglican Church is actually loyal is, well, you have to think about it this way. The Church of England, the head of the church, is going to be the king. So if you're a part of that church, why would you want to leave the country when the head of the church is the king? That's a slap in the face of God as they see it. So they don't want to leave for that reason, and many of the loyalists will actually flee to Canada after the war is over. And John Adams will start to complain. John Adams, of course, our second president, he will start to complain about the loyalists and how they're upsetting the apple cart, and they're also the ones who are sabotaging, in his mind, the war effort itself, because they are the ones who are blocking many of the actions because they're spying. Now, Joseph Brand is probably one of the most famous loyalists. He led the Mohawks against the Patriots, against the Continental Army, and he's going to be one who goes down in infamy in American history for fighting for the colonies to stay with the British. Now, there's an whoopsie doopsie. There is going to be a very famous pamphlet called Common Sense. I don't have to pay attention while running through this. Yes, I know. Go away. Actually, I'm going to switch my first Pokemon. So, there is a very famous pamphlet published during this time period called Common Sense. And what Common Sense is a pamphlet saying we need to break away from Britain because they're taxing us without representation. They're going to continue to do this. They're going to continue to push us and bully us, and until we show them that we're not afraid of breaking away, that we're not afraid of trying to come up with some new form of government, and we're not afraid of them anymore, then we can't do anything, and we're no better than they are because we're not willing to fight for our own rights. So it's published January of 1776. It's 50 pages. It's published in Philadelphia. Originally, it's published anonymously because nobody wants to take credit for a pamphlet saying, oh, we need to break away from Britain because, well, it's kind of stupid now, isn't it? And because of this, the credit will be originally given to a man by the name of Thomas Paine. He's born 1773, dies 1809. He's probably one of the most prolific writers of the 18th century. Among his great writings include Age of Reason, which talks about social norms and what we need to do as a society and how society actually works. Rights of Man, which defends the French Revolution. Common Sense, which I love that piece. If you ever get a chance to read Common Sense, it's absolutely wonderful. It's brilliantly written, and it's something worth a read. Darn it, I'm paralyzed. But he actually is going to be the one who writes Common Sense, and which is what I'm talking about right now. Now, it calls King George III a royal brute, which the king, of course, does not really like, and he doesn't like the fact that he's accusing him of abuse against the people. The king sees himself as being fair and honest and balanced because, well, he's the king and he's doing what he thinks is right to protect the people, which doesn't make a lot of sense because he's taxing us without any representation, And the reason why he's taxing us actually is because of the French and Indian War. So because of this, we have this whole divide, and about 500,000 copies are going to be sold. Now, the Virginia Resolution is supported by many. It's a call for independence. It was authorized May of 1776 by the Virginia legislator. I don't even know how I lost that one. I wasn't paying attention enough. So, and it's going to be headed by a man by the name of Richard Henry Lee. Now, some of you may recognize the last name of Lee. He actually is related to General Lee from the Civil War. Sorry, I have something in my throat. So, General Lee is actually his great-grandson, I think it is. But Richard Henry Lee, he's going to lead Virginia. He's one of the more famous of his time delegates from Virginia. Of course, we all know Thomas Jefferson, who is one of his contemporaries. And they're going to head up this committee that comes up with the Virginia Resolution. Now, July 4th, 1776, this is where we have the Declaration of Independence. Now, here's where it kind of gets interesting when it comes to like how we declare independence, because we have to come up with something to deal with slaves. The North wants to outlaw slavery, the South does not. Well, what are we going to do? What do you guys think we do? Well, we come up with a compromise, because the South argues that the slaves should be counted in the populace because, of course, we're going to have to set up elections. And for the Senate, it's by every Senate seat, every state has 2. And the House is by population. Well, the South argues that their slaves should be counted in the population. The North argues if that was the case, then they should also count all the Norse horses as a part of the Norse population, because if the South got the slave count, then it would outnumber the North, meaning the North could never do anything to restrict or outlaw slavery. Now, they come up with something known as the Three-Fifths Compromise. The Three-Fifths Compromise simply states that a slave counts as 3/5 of a person, and therefore, when you're doing population counts, every slave is 3/5 of a person. Now, when it comes to the South, slave trade actually ends, the trade overseas at least, ends in 1808, except for Georgia. Georgia will take another like 5 to 10 years before it will end its slave trade formally. So, yeah, and I'm gonna switch out. I want to bring you up a level. Darn it. Now, women actually, before we become a nation, women actually have the right to vote in states like New Jersey. But after it changes, but women were the ones who organized boycotts, served as nurses, and oftentimes fought alongside their male counterparts with little to no recognition at the time. Except for New Jersey, women were allowed to vote, and so were African Americans until 1807. How crazy is that? After 1807, they changed the laws, which is really stupid to me, but it's what ended up happening. Now, the Declaration of Independence is built on the Enlightenment age ideas, and this is where we have the First Amendment. Guys, don't ever say to a history teacher the First Amendment contains separation of church and state, because that actually is a falsehood created by Justice Hugo Black in a Lemon case, which he puts in what Thomas Jefferson put in for the Virginia law of separation of church and state, which was a totally different statute. He just really confused the two, which is really annoying. Oh, I don't want to go this way. Haha. Not where I wanted to go. Get on the St. Anne. Let's go to St. Anne. So, yeah, there's no such thing as separation of church and state in the First Amendment. So that's a falsehood a lot of people believe just because it's been quoted so much. And the preamble of the Constitution, Declaration of Independence, let me go back to that. So, let's switch out. You're a throwaway, so I could lose you. Sorry, I'm like trying to focus on this. The ideas of the Declaration come from a group of people, not only Thomas Jefferson, but it has ringings of Benjamin Franklin, Connor Harris, Gouverneur Morris, and Hugo Wilson. And it shows like a direct speech correlation between what these men have always said and what they're going to believe in. So the preamble also says that we're going to make sure that everybody has equal rights, that we're going to have natural rights as citizens, which I'm going to get into. Natural rights as citizens is the part where he says, we hold these truths to be self-evident. Jefferson states that all men are created equal and endowed by their Creator the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of property, not the pursuit of happiness. Now, Jefferson will wrestle with this because what about the African American population? What do you say to them? Are they equal? What's going to go on there? So when that comes into question, Jefferson says, slavery is like a wolf. We have it by the toe, but we really can't let go, because if we do, I'm afraid of what's going to happen. Oh, shoot, poison. Forgot about that. And this is influenced by a French philosopher named John Locke. And with Locke's influence, we start to see what we want to see our country to be as. We want a country that's free of being afraid of our property or being arrested and being held without reason. Oh, come on, hit. Darn it. I was hoping to level him up. And we don't want a ruler that's going to randomly attack us like King George did. To dissolve our bonds with the British government, we start off by creating our Constitution. We want a new set of powers. Didn't I just heal? Or am I going crazy? Nope, I'm going crazy. Hold on. So, of course, in 1791, we have the Bill of Rights, which is our first 10 amendments, which has the First Amendment, right, freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom of the press, all that fun stuff. Let's see. Okay, so she's going to run around. And this is where we have a lot of the stuff that people are worried about, like being suppressed nowadays. Now, during the American Revolution, we're going to see something that a lot of people didn't think about at the time, but it's really important to understand that many of these British soldiers growing up, they were exposed to something known as smallpox, which we don't have much in the colonies. So when it comes over to the US, it's going to be like a chemical weapon. Most of our soldiers aren't immune, and we don't have immunization like we have today where you could go and get a shot. Instead, or a vaccine. Instead, they use something known as immunization, where you used to have a scab placed under your skin of somebody who had smallpox, and you would get sick from it and then become immune to it. This was a practice started in 1721 in Boston by a man by the name of Dr. Zabel Bolston. I am going to have trouble pronouncing his name, but long story short, he's a doctor from Boston who comes up with the theory that this could work. And the man who will actually support him, his name actually is Cotton Mather. Now, it's his father. I didn't remember for a second. His father was one of the trial judges for the Salem witch trial. The guy's name is Increase Mather. Not making up these names, guys. It's really true. So Cotton Mather went against the church because a lot of people saw smallpox and diseases like that as a sign of God for everybody doing something wrong, so therefore they had to be punished. And their punishment was to get sick. And when this happens, when they start the immunization practices, there's a huge backlash against Cotton Mather because they feel like he's now broken with the church, even though Cotton Mather actually is a reverend. So it's kind of a catch-22 for Mather because he wants to save his family. Now, George Washington, fast forward to when the Revolutionary War is going on, George Washington will have already had smallpox. That's why he has pock marks on his face. He contracted it as a young man. And because of this, he won't get sick from it. So he sees it as biological warfare because the British do start to use it as a biological warfare disease, where they'll start to spread it with blankets that they give to the American soldiers somehow. They'll send over infected blankets through spies. And once the American soldiers get sick, what are you going to do with a bunch of sick men with smallpox? Ooh, yay! Now we have Pidgeot. Yay. So because of this, Washington will start an immunization program, which a lot of people will be against because they feel like they shouldn't be immunized against a disease and become sick for a few months and then become better and not have to worry about getting sick from the disease again. A lot of people disagree with that. And this is going to be a fight that Washington will have to fight several times during the American Revolution, because people feel like Washington's doing the wrong thing when Washington feels like he's saving his soldiers' lives. Now, the first part of the American Revolution, we're going to lose most of the battles because, well, we're not a well-suited army. We're just a ragtag group of people. And we're going to see the turning point excuse me, with the Delaware, where we cross over at Christmas and we surprise the British. And when we surprise the British, we're able to take them down. And once we take them down, we are going to take down the British and the Hessians on Christmas Day, which will turn the tides, because a lot of countries up until this point were just kind of watching us. And then our major turning point, though, is Saratoga, the Battle of Saratoga, which will happen on September 19th, 1777, where the American troops are going to repel and destroy a group of British troops that we weren't supposed to be able to destroy. And once we are able to do that, we start to see help from other countries start to pour in. We have General Horatio Gates, who is a retired British soldier who will come to the American aid. He's going to believe in the American dream and creating a new country. And with that, we start to see like the early victories that we have for the American Revolution. We also see Ben Franklin, who is over in Europe. Guys, I'm just going to say this point blank. Ben Franklin is a little bit of a dog. As much as I love him as a historical figure, I cannot lie to you guys. Ben Franklin loved the women. That's why he has a son out of wedlock with another woman, even though he's married. His name is William Franklin, and he is actually the British governor of New Jersey. And after the Revolutionary War starts, they will not talk to each other because of this. And he's over in Europe, and everybody loves Franklin because, well, who wouldn't love Ben Franklin? He's nice, he's smart, he's intelligent, he's witty, but yes, he loves the women. So he's going to be all over Europe getting us support, including from countries like France. And our French allies hate the British so much that they're going to send over people to help just because, well, we hate Britain, you're fighting Britain, this is perfect. This is our version of revenge. Because the French had recently lost a war with Britain, so why not try and get something back, stab the British back. So they send over the Marquis de Lafayette, who, if you've ever been to New Orleans, there's a street named after him on Lafayette Square. He is born September 6, 1756. He is from France. He is a hero of two wars. He leads during the French Revolution, but later on, he is going to be expelled from France because they say, oh, you're part of the aristocracy, you're part of the problem. But the Lafayette will actually help us organize our troops and come together even more. Now, with this, we also get two Polish volunteers, the first being Kamysol Peruski, who will actually help us with our cavalry. Same with Tyronics. Whatever. I can't pronounce their names. I tend to call them CJ and CP and TK. But these two men will come in. They will start drilling our cavalry, making our cavalry even stronger, so we know how to do charges. We are able to push back against the British. We're able to do all these different things. And we are going to create a stronger and more well-regulated army. And because of this, we start to see more and more victories. Then we have Baron von Stroops, Frederick, whose full name, by the way, is Frederick Wilhelm Ludwig Gerhard Augustin von Stoop, who was born September 17, 1730. He dies November 28, 1794. And he is going to be the one who's going to start drilling our troop. He's going to be the one who says, we need regular uniforms, that everybody wears the same thing, that instead of every single state having their own, we all need to look the same. Because, well, you don't want to be attacking your allies and not even realize it's your allies. Which is kind of stupid, but it makes sense because some of the colonies had chosen colors that were similar to the British color. So yeah, we had to deal with that as well. I'm going to switch my lead Pokemon because I kind of feel, I do want to use, I know a lot of people don't use Beedrill in playthroughs, but I kind of want to use Beedrill just because I feel like it's a strong Pokemon that doesn't get enough love sometimes. So he's going to start drilling, he's going to start taking over, he's going to start making our troops even more effective. Oh, I hate paralyzation. And then you have Valley Forge is where our troops stayed. No, 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 no. Thank you. Let's go up and heal. So Valley Forge is where our troops are going to stay from the winter between 1777 to 1778, and it's 22 miles away from the British Army. And thank you for telling me the obvious thing. Sorry, I'm having slight issues. So this is where we're going to stay. Our troops are kind of feeling defeated. A lot of people are running away because they don't feel like we have a chance of winning this war. And because of this, we start to see the illness of smallpox spread, which makes it even worse. But this is where we're going to have the turning point also, because now we're going to have the groups of people that are going to come in to help us. We also have African Americans who join in the war effort. The big thing here is George Washington at first is hesitant about letting African Americans join because he wasn't sure if they could be trusted. But after hearing about men like Peter Salem, who was an African American freed slave, and how they fought at the Battle of Bunker Hill and Saratoga, he decided it was worth a chance. Now, both sides will offer freedom to any slaves who fight for their side, and because of this, a lot of slaves will sign up to fight. Now, the most famous one, of course, is James Armstead Lafayette. He is born as a Virginia slave in 1748, and he will enlist, and the reason why he's so famous is because he will actually be a spy to infiltrate the British ranks, and when he infiltrates the British ranks, he ends up getting their battle plans, and when he gets their battle plans, he's able to kind of tell us what's going to happen next, how we're going to go through the war itself, who they're going to attack next, where they're heading to, all this pretty neat stuff that we actually needed. I hate when, no, Venusaur quit missing. At least it got one hit. Alright, Pikachu. Your turn. Bye. I want to heal up. Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. So, we're going to have this turnaround with morale and everything else. Now, women in the American Army, you're not supposed to fight as a woman, and if you get caught, you could be put to death. So a lot of these women fought under the pretext that they were going to hide the fact forever. But you do have a few that are famous, being Deborah Sampson, Molly McCall. Oh, come on. I hate when I have battles like this where I'm like... No! Okay, Earnhardt. Let's hope this works. Oh, come on. I'm hoping they do something stupid. Ah, darn it. Okay, so I need to switch Beedrill out. And Maggie Corm. But, I mean, I think I'm going to end this episode here. Yes, I'm ending on the fact that I lost. But next time, I will defeat Gary. So, that's all I have for today. Bye, guys.